Subscribe.
My name is Jason Shurka. I have the privilege of working with an organization, a clandestine, undercover, underground organization known as TLS, otherwise known as the Light System. It's all about how to have a finger in certain places to influence things and make things move, to be able to beat the monster from within. It's understanding that we have the potential within. We have the ability to do what all the great leaders and religious leaders and spiritual leaders have done in the past. A caterpillar transforms and metamorphosizes into a butterfly. That's basically shapeshifting. We call that natural. So when a human being can do something like that, for whatever reason, we call it supernatural, and it's only because we're living subnatural lives. The Bible never caused war. The religious leaders, the people that started spreading those messages through their own corrupted lens, were the ones that caused war. And right now we're going through the process of unwinding and untangling that mess, energetically speaking, to eventually get to the same point that we were at thousands of years ago, which is one world, one life, love for all, compassion and unity. That's what the age of love is, and that's where they're trying to bring us to. So the reason why TLS works with these beings is because it's all bringing back universal awareness, bringing us all together. Time and space doesn't exist in the same way that it does from that perspective, from that awareness, from that consciousness. So it's a completely different way of doing things, and it starts with awareness. It's something that's beyond the laws of physics as we know them in application today. The craft becomes an extension of the operator's consciousness, and that's how they're going those distances and those speeds. I know it sounds like it's out of a movie, but these are real things. My name is Jason Shurka. Many of you may know me as the founder of Unified TV and Unified Healing. But there's a very, very exciting part of my life that I want to dive into, that I want to share with all of you. That's the fact that I have the privilege of working with an organization, a clandestine, undercover, underground organization with incredible intentions known as TLS, otherwise known as the Light System. What you're about to hear over the next few episodes may blow your mind. It's going to challenge your belief systems. It's going to break them down, and that's okay. My job is not to convince you. My job is not to persuade you. My job is to share what I've been asked to share with the world. And what you do with the information you're about to hear is completely up to you and your own free will.
I'm so glad that you agreed to come over today, because I have to tell you, I'm a little bit concerned for you, okay? We've been working together for a while now. We've made a couple of movies, TV shows, all sorts of things, and I love you. You know, I see your mission. I see what you're trying to do out there, change the world, help people. But then last night, I stumbled across Disclosure, and I watched it for the first time. And whilst it was extremely interesting, thought-provoking, I worry for you, Jason, because that's some really heavy content that you're producing there. Why are you doing this? Why are you blowing the whistle on this group and what's going on?
I don't think I have another choice. And I think the best way to answer that question is to give a little background here.
Okay.
Because that'll give you a better understanding of why I'm choosing to do this with the intentions that I'm coming from. So you know this. I don't know who else knows this, but anybody that knows me knows where I come from. I come from the business world. I have a family business. I was running the business, commercial.
You're 26 and you're very, very successful.
Thank you.
You do not need to be making this kind of content.
So that's my very point. There was this whole path that was, set in front of me already. None of this needed to be done. And I always tell people, follow the money. Follow where somebody has to gain from something. And my life has only gotten much more inconvenient and harder since I started this. So that begs the question, why? Why would any of this ever be something that I want to do?
Why? Why are you doing it?
And it really comes from a deeper place of, in a way, a trauma. When I grew up, I had everything that I've ever wanted. It was a blessed life growing up, and it still is. But the one thing I didn't have was the satisfaction that other people could share what I was experiencing myself. Meaning, my parents always took me and my older sister, never on vacation, to trips to poor places around the world.
Right.
They wanted to show us outside of our bubble that we live in, how the real world really is. The fact that over 50% of the human population is living under the poverty line.
Right.
And it gave me this feeling of every time I got back to my bubble, what is this? Why do I have this and these people don't? How do we make a change? I didn't feel satisfied knowing that I could go on vacation anywhere I want and everything was fine.
These people can't even eat.
Exactly.
Right.
The person next to me is homeless and in horrible situations that aren't necessary. And I just feel in my heart, and I always have, that there is a way to change the world. And it's not that far-fetched to do it in a short period of time with the right fuel, with the right motivation, the right ambition. I started going down that path, and I understood that, and this is my opinion from my experience, it's not about how much money you're going to raise to help somebody or how much money you're going to give to somebody to change their lives. You need to change something from the awareness that caused it in the first place. And that means that we
Find
need
that root cause and
exactly.
heal that.
It's like this shift of consciousness that we need to experience. And that's what led me down this path of wanting to make everything more known in terms of, number one, what are the problems in the world? Because if you don't know the problem, how are you going to go and solve it? But not just focusing on the dark, illuminating the dark with light. That's what awareness is. And then bringing us to solutions. What can we do? How do we make this world a better place? It all starts with awareness. So that's why I decided to go down this path. But disclosure is a whole different ballgame, because that's really a deep rabbit hole.
Well, okay, so I hear what you're saying. I totally agree with you. But I mean, you're friends with people like Anthony Robbins, who is like the absolute guru about mindset change and all of that sort of stuff. You've got your own video streaming platform with like the most amazing, life-changing, personal transformation, woke content on there. You're doing, you know, you're following your path, you're following your mission. But this is something else. So first of all, I want to understand how you stumbled across TLS. Like, how did this first come into your consciousness? Because for me, it was through you.
I didn't stumble across it. It stumbled upon me, if you want to say it that way. Think about it like this. Are we in agreement that, can we agree on the fact that there are negative organizations in the world with negative intentions?
Oh, yeah.
We're on the same page on that one. So just like that exists, and we could name those for days. How many good ones can you name? Most people don't know.
Some might say religion and the church. I would beg to differ. But no, I see your point.
You see what I'm saying? So if there's the negatively polarized organizations and individuals, corporations in some cases, the exact opposite exists also. The question is, why don't we know about them? And when are we going to know about them?
Right.
So,
because if they're out there trying to do good and trying to, make change, why aren't they really out there trying to do good and make change? Everything they're doing seems to be quite covert, is how I would describe it.
100%. So there are many questions that arise once you accept the fact that if there's the negative, there's the positive. Where are they? Why does the world look the way it does if they exist? And what's really going on here? Why are they undercover? Why the secrecy? So secrecy is known to be like, it's always associated with negativity. It's like we have to hide something. But imagine this. Let's say I have a technology in my hand right now that can change the world for the better overnight. There's a lot of power that this technology holds.
Right.
Would you agree with me that that technology in the wrong hands can do a lot of damage?
I just finished watching Oppenheimer, so yes, I would agree with you.
So would you agree that technology should remain under some sort of veil so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands?
Yeah.
That's a positive version of secrecy. That's how TLS does what they do. So TLS is known as the light system.
Right, so they're not saving the world with hand-to-hand combat. It's more like on a much grander scale.
They're not saving the world.
Right.
Okay, nobody can save the world. No one person or one organization can do anything for me or for you. We can be guided and assisted along the way, but it's going to take a change from us, we the people, to make that change. They do things to assist us along the way, but they can't just come in here and say, okay, let's get rid of all the evil in the world. Why? Because what is the root of all evil? Let's go to the Holocaust. Let's go to Hitler. Hitler, let's take him out, right? Let's go back 70 years. Let's just take him out. Well, there will be a replacement for that Hitler.
Right.
We need to change, because Hitler wasn't the only problem. Let's remember that there were millions of people following
Hitler
that man.
couldn't have existed if he didn't have millions of people following him.
A reflection of collective consciousness. Therefore, the root is collective consciousness. What TLS does is they do their best to basically shift the collective through many different means. They could do it through books, through movies, through certain agencies that they would infiltrate. It could be the Pentagon, it could be NASA, it could be the White House, it could be many different areas all around the world. I'm just focusing on the US for now. But you're talking about an organization with a lot of power that works undercover in the same way that the CIA does, only with a completely different intention. So the CIA, we know about it, but there are units in the CIA you've never heard of. The problem with those authorities, those organizations, is top down, there's a lot of rotten things going on there. When it comes to TLS, think about the same structure, only positively oriented. Correct.
Okay, so you said that makes sense, thank you. So you said that they stumbled across you, or they approached you. So talk to me about that. What do you mean? Did you get a phone call? Was there a meeting?
Yeah, so it was in June of 2018, I believe. And it was just a stranger that approached me and started talking to me. Just like you in New York City. I used to live in New York City.
And was this before you had launched your platform? And
way before anything.
Before your books?
Before everything.
Before all of it?
Yeah. I was 20 years old.
Okay.
It was 3 weeks before my 21st birthday.
Okay.
I was midway through college, and I was living a normal life. I was going out. I was doing everything that, 18, 19, 20-year-old would do. By 20, I was like kind of beginning to change my life a little bit because of a series of injuries that came my way. It kind of, pushed me in a different direction. Right before my 21st birthday, I get approached by a stranger, basically, and I didn't understand what was going on. And I didn't know what was going on at that time either. If he just came up to me and said, "Hey, I work with this really powerful organization,"
like,
I'd be like, "This man is on some kind of drugs or schizophrenic. There's something going on here."
Yeah.
So that's not what they did. They were following me for a period of time beforehand. And by the way, now I get to see them follow others from the inside. It's interesting to see the recruiting process in a subliminal way. So basically, I was approached. It was a period of 2 years that I was in contact with this man where we were just building a relationship. And he was building a relationship with me. I didn't understand that he was planted. I just thought he was a cool guy. And we were talking, very, very interesting man, successful man in what he does.
Business. But he hadn't said, "Hey, there's this place called TLS."
No. That was 2 years later. So in February of 2020, I was invited to a meeting. That was my first ever meeting, a TLS meeting. It lasted for about 12 hours. It started around 5, 6 p.m. 12 hours later, this meeting is what really started my journey. Today, I understood that they called that meeting to basically recruit me as a form of like a spokesperson in a way, which I'm like, why the hell are you guys coming to me? I'm young, I'm inexperienced, I come from real estate, I have nothing to do with any of this.
You're about to give me chills because you're about to tell me that they saw what you were going to achieve, right?
Well,
with everything you were going to do?
It's all about, the way that I understand it, and I'm still understanding it, is it's all about some sort of like signature. We all have a light signature. You have certain abilities that are unique to you, that are, your potential. I do too. We all do. Everybody. So for whatever reason it was, and I was no public speaker at the time whatsoever, but for whatever reason it was, they decided that based on certain criteria that I'm still learning today, based on certain criteria, I fit for a certain job that they needed.
Right.
And that job is more of a spokesperson, less of a foot soldier.
Because it seems like you're not in that, like that inner circle yet, are you? Like the things that Ray was speaking about were things you were learning from him rather than being told by them.
Yes.
So do you think that they're going to let you in more as time goes by in a similar way to Ray?
So remember, what you watched was, let's say the first 3 or 4 parts of disclosure was over a year ago at this point. So at this point, the whole dynamic has changed.
Wow.
Ray is not the only person I speak to. I speak to his boss, we call her D. I speak to, everybody has a code name. My code name is Junior. Nobody knows that. That's the first time I ever said that publicly. They call me Junior.
Okay.
Ray is known as the CO. I don't know if he wants me to share what the CO stands for, so I won't. The woman under Ray, we call her BW for Black Widow. Ray's boss is D. Everybody has a different code name, basically, and that's how we refer to each other.
So you're saying that the more that you're out there, I guess, spreading the good word about TLS, the more that they're like sharing more information with you, teaching you more about their organization?
Okay, so let's start with this. Everything that I share with TLS, everything that I share about TLS is going through them. There are phones in this room right now, and I'm just letting you know that they're listening. They told me in advance, don't say anything not out of place, and be very conscious of what you share over here, because you got to be cautious.
Okay. Wow. That's kind of weird. Please don't go through my phone. I apologize for all of like the selfies I've taken.
But yes, that's how this whole thing works. So in short, they asked me to be a form of a messenger, if you want to call it.
So you guard it in a way? Like, do you know more than you're letting on?
Of course. I'm not allowed to share everything. Guarded, you're saying in terms of what I share?
Yes.
Yeah. Protected also with guards in certain areas.
I'm going to circle back to that in a minute. But I want to ask you about Ray. So was Ray the person that you're talking about that first approached you, or were you introduced to him later?
No, Ray was the first person who approached me. He's the person that brought me into it.
Right.
Obviously, Ray is not his real name, but he wants to remain anonymous. And he basically brought me into this whole thing. Now, when he brought up this TLS thing, I'm like, what are you talking about? What is this? And in short, for anybody who doesn't understand, maybe you to give you some more knowledge as well on this topic, it's not that big of an organization. It's about roughly at this point, I think about 8,500 initiated agents that are in the organization. Yep. There are offices in every major city in the world. They call them branches. So the New York branch is a really big branch. It's about 1,000 people. There's a branch here in California.
Wow.
There's a branch basically in every main place around the world, and people all over around the world that are a part of it. Now, some of the people that are a part of the organization, you know. Some of the people that are a part of the organization, you've interviewed.
Dr. Stephen Greer.
I'm not allowed to speak. But some of the people that are a part of the organization, definitely not. Some of the people that are a part of the organization, you've definitely spoken to, you know of, everybody knows of them. They're very known people, well-known people.
Okay, so I'm not trying to take away from TLS, but talking about Scientology. So Scientology have, I guess, furthered like forgetting about the teachings, I'm not talking about that, you know, believe them or not, who cares? The way that I guess they have spread their word is by recruiting celebrities and people that have high profiles, I guess, to try and give them credibility and like trust out there in the world. Is TLS trying to attract members that have high profiles so that they...
No.
No? Okay.
No. So they also,
So then why would they have celebrities and things like that? What would be
when I say celebrities, I'm talking more about, it could be people leading movements, politicians, whatever it may be, to fix things from the inside. Sometimes you need to go inside the monster to beat the monster. So they have people inside that are working double. For example, there's somebody in NASA. There's a couple people in NASA, actually, that work in NASA but really work for TLS. They're on NASA's payroll, but they work for TLS. Think about it like a double spy.
So would you say that right now, myself, you know, the crew, everybody are being influenced unwittingly by people that are out there spreading TLS messages, teachings?
I don't know if... What do you mean by unwittingly?
Well, meaning like just say that it was Deepak Chopra. I know it's not, but just say it was, and he was teaching you about, you know, romance or something like that, and we're listening to it. But they've told him that message. Like,
no, sometimes they could influence somebody that's not a part of the organization whatsoever.
Okay.
And help that person be guided, plant an idea, and it's been done to me. They call that, by the way, transducing. Transducing is a certain technique where through certain touch, through certain words, it's basically using energy, frequency, and vibration to influence an individual in a specific way. Now, let's go back to secrecy. That's where secrecy comes into play for a very positive purpose. Because if just anybody understood the transducing method, I don't know it, but it's been done to me and I've been through it and experienced it. If just anybody knew how to do transducing, this world would be in chaos because we're not yet responsible to be able to handle something like that in a positive way. So a few people know it and it's kept guarded for that reason.
And only shown to people that can handle it, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
and there have been certain situations where individuals were shown certain things. They were not responsible with it, and they erased the memory. It's gone.
I was getting you to come visit me today to kind of dissuade you about this path because I'm an investigative filmmaker, and I make films about serious topics like, you know, transgender issues and sexual abuse, but then I also work in the world of extraterrestrial and paranormal, and sometimes I get you know, a lot of shit for reporting on these things. I've lost sponsors and hundreds of thousands of dollars because I've chosen to take that path. And, you know, I have been worrying for you because I thought maybe it would take away from the work that you're doing. But now it turns out that the work that you're doing is because of TLS.
100%.
Okay, so, you know, I like to paint myself as the everyman or the everywoman. And obviously, like, I've had this opinion. I'm someone that believes in extraterrestrials and life on other planets, but I still thought that TLS was crazy. And some of the things that you were discussing with Ray sounded just like totally off the wall. But now I kind of feel like I really want to know more. And I feel like I owe it to you as your friend and the world as a reporter, you know, to get the information out about TLS in as clear and concise a way as possible. How would you feel if we sat down together and, you know, we kind of broke it up into like 4 or 5 different sections and really honed in on I guess, like, who they are, where they come from, what they want for us, and I guess how we can interact with that information and that technology and everything like that. I'd really just like to share that with the public. How do you feel about me grilling you for a bit?
I'm okay with that, but I have certain conditions.
Okay.
Number one, are you willing to go into topics that, you know, may be censored in some ways? Are you willing to go into topics that it's going to push your belief systems?
I love that. You know, convince me, I think, is what I'm trying to say to you.
I don't want to convince you. I'm going to share with you, and I want you to take it wherever you want to take it. If you believe it, if you don't believe it, that's fine. My job is not.
Good. If it doesn't,
that's it.
That's okay.
That's it. My job is not to persuade. My job is to share a message, and that's it. And it's completely up to you. So that's number one. If you're open to that, that's the most important thing to me. Number two, I want you to go as skeptical as you possibly can.
That's easy.
Try to trip me up. Try to see. Poke as many holes as you possibly can. That's how you test something.
Because if I go hard on you, you're probably going to think I'm being really rude, and I just don't want you to get offended because I love you and I value your friendship. But I'm gonna
go for it.
Give it to you.
Full force.
Okay.
And third, just if we're going to go deeper into these topics, I need to focus. I need to concentrate. I'm going to need a minute. And if we could change this setting, there are a lot of people around here.
Okay.
Just anybody here anybody here that doesn't need to be here. It just helps me focus when we have less people in the room, so I could focus on what needs to be said. And if I say something out of place, I need to see the edits beforehand so we could take those things out, because the organization will need to approve this before it goes out.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I definitely want to have 2 cameras on you, though. I know you're going to hate me for this, but, you know, I interview a lot of people that make a lot of really outlandish claims, and as somebody that has a sixth sense and is able to tell if somebody's lying, I really want to be able to train the cameras onto your face, because if I see any of those tells, I'm going to share it. I'm going to let people know, because that's
you could zoom in as much as you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, like, that's my job.
Absolutely.
You know, like, I'm not here to film bullshit. I'm here to uncover as much of the truth as I can.
100%. Let's get a little close set over here. Let's figure out a place where it could just be a little, you know, quieter without cars moving, and I could focus, because I want to go into some memories over here as well to bring a lot of the details and the juicy details to, show you exactly what's going on.
I just have to break the fourth wall for a moment. Guys, why do I feel like we're about to go down the rabbit hole here? Is everyone feeling that? Yeah. Are you guys ready to, like, have your minds blown?
Ready.
I think we should do it then.
Let's have a good time.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
Subscribe.